How's it going, folks? Welcome back to their Pokemon Unite video here on YouTube. Second upload for today, because not only are we getting a new character later tonight, but the patch that is already rolled out as I am recording this brought with it a number of balance changes for the first time in a while. So let's go ahead and run through those balance changes for all of you at home. I'll give my thoughts on them, and then we'll be showcasing a bunch of these Pokemon that have been changed here in addition to the new character over the course of the next week for sure. Excited to dig into them. I think there's a lot of good as well as some head scratcher changes in these patch notes. Let's dive into it. So to start, Blastoise, they're doing something that I really like, which is they're looking at characters that are already pretty playable, and then they're trying to upgrade their lesser used moves to make them better. So here, Water Spout's duration has changed to the entirety of Rapid Spin duration, meaning the Spin Spouts build might be something that becomes viable again, allowing Blastoise to be a little bit more of a tanky damage dealer as opposed to a strict defender. I know I'm someone who had played a lot of Blastoise, and even when I was taking Rapid Spin into people taking a lot of Slow Smokes, I think Hydro Pump was still much better than Water Spout previously, but Water Spout's having this slow and damage duration for the entirety of Rapid Spin, good chance that that changes that dynamic. Looking forward to trying out that moveset for sure. Mr. Mime. Guard Swap now lasts as long as your target is in range and breaks after the target moves too far away, or if it's used on another target. That's really interesting. So Guard Swap can not only be utilized to let you deal more damage to an opponent, but can also be used on an ally to defend them. And Guard Swap being kind of permanent like this, if you stay close to someone, this could be, you know, really push Mime into that more supporting role as opposed to the kind of bulky defender that we see it take in a lot of comps. Now, one thing that's interesting here is that it looks like the damage was reduced on Confusion as well. So perhaps people are concerned, or they were concerned that this change to Guard Swap perhaps made Confusion too strong, but the base damage here was changed. I wonder if this is a typo on these notes on Unite DB. It looks like the ratio was increased here. So if this is accurate, the level 1's probably pretty similar depending on what your special attack looks like. Ratio basically means how hard this scales off of your key stat modifier, so your items increase the ratio more, whereas the base damage doesn't change based on your special attack. But it looks here like Confusion Plus was definitely reduced, so I would bet this is probably a typo here. Looks like a small quality of life change to Psychic. Mime can now attack while casting Psychic. That might make that moveset playable. This is the real head scratcher inside of the patch notes. A lot of these patch notes are good and great, I think make sense, and are things that are changes that are good. But for Cramorant, I don't want to call it a nerf because it's technically a side grade. So they reduced the ratio and the base damage on this, but they added bonus damage to your boosted attack after the dive. So looking at the numbers here, we went from 78% ratio to 45, but we got a 38% on the boosted that follows your dive. So if we do some quick math here, this is 7583 as opposed to 78. And then the base damage is 325 as opposed to 320. So when you factor in the boosted damage on the attack after, it's technically a little bit better. Now, is it better enough that this is going to be a playable moveset and this makes Cram playable? I don't know. And again, it looks like they preemptively here, this is just a strict downgrade. They've preemptively made Air Slash's cooldown longer from 5 seconds up to 7. So perhaps they tested this and they think that this is a buff, this change, and they wanted to pull down Air Slash in the meantime to kind of balance that out. If they think Cramorant could possibly be too good, but I'd be kind of surprised if this makes it too good. Now, I think this is probably the change that's most likely to result in changes in the competitive metagame, especially for 5 stacks. So your boosted attacks attack a little bit faster when they happen, and this change is huge. So Aura Veil used to just put a circle down around you, and when you were inside that circle, you and your teammates took less damage, and your attacks became boosted, which is relevant with your attack speed being faster when you're dealing boosted. But Aura Veil is now a dash, so you jump or dash to the point and then put down the veil, meaning Ninetales' kit now has some mobility baked into it. And not only do you have mobility baked into your Aura Veil with a dash, but you also heal 10% of the damage you're dealing while inside that Aura Veil. So the Avalanche Blizzard build of Ninetales is the one that's been popular since that was buffed, but Aura Veil giving Ninetales some consistent mobility is a really big thing. It's one of the things that this type of caster doesn't have in this game typically. You look at things like Pikachu and Cramorant, and Ninetales gaining this in its kit could make the Dazzling Gleam plus Aura Veil build, especially not only giving you healing, but other people inside of the Veil healing, seems very good. Lucario here, strict nerf on close combat. Healing has been reduced and damage has been reduced. I think that's a good change. Lucario's been just completely dominant in that solo top path position again, and bringing that down is much needed. I honestly wasn't expecting this change, but I actually really like the direction they took with this. So Greedent's super annoying if you haven't played Pokemon Unite against it, and reducing its movement speed overall just a little bit will go a long way towards making it less obnoxious. And then more importantly, the tackle and defense curl here means that the people that want to grief with Greedent early, that center invade Greedent strategy, will now be much worse with your tackle being longer cooldown and your defense curl shielding you a bit less here. The Eldegoss change here is one that I wasn't expecting, but I actually really like yet again. So this is not a strict nerf, but a side grade. So while Cotton Guard is strictly worse than it was previous, they've pulled 23 seconds off of the cooldown of Eldegoss's Unite move. So instead of having that constant heal bot be as powerful inside of engages, you're now going to get to use your Unite move probably an entire extra time over the course of the average competitive match with Eldegoss, which is a big deal. Loading that healing up into the Unite move instead will change the dynamics of some fights and give Eldegoss players a little bit more freedom to slam that down more frequently. Decidueye is a character they are desperately trying to make playable. They've pushed Spirit Shackle yet again. Just more damage everywhere, and it charges faster as well. I really am not a fan of Spirit Shackle, and I'd be kind of surprised if these changes make Spirit Shackle the pick over Razor Leaf. They haven't touched Razor Leaf in a really long time, so I assume the metrics surrounding that move are pretty reasonable, and it's always felt pretty powerful to me when you have the right team comp. And then another change here is they made the damage on the little quills for Knock Knock get a little bit more powerful. I don't know if this makes Decidueye's Unite move obviously it's playable because you have to have it and it's strictly better, but Decidueye's Unite move is definitely one of the worst things about the character's kit. The fact that it just like locks you in place is so miserable for such a squishy character. In fact, it's frequently correct to just Unite and then stop uniting so you can get that movement speed boost to get out of an engage when people get up on top of you. So honestly, I think if I was the people balancing this game and I wanted to make Decidueye more competitive, I think reworking its Unite move is probably something they should just consider doing. Although this is, better than nothing, strict upgrade. Zerora. Zerora got strict upgrade for Volt Switch when you get some damage on your return for the switch. That being said, I don't really expect this change to make Zerora be impactful in the metagame. I think Zerora has just kind of been aged out of the kind of metagame and power level of the characters that have been introduced. It is literally the only character in the game right now that doesn't get its Unite move until level 10, and I think that just needs to change. I think if they want Zerora to be a playable part of the metagame again, they need to do what they did with Snorlax and Gardevoir and Garchomp and all those other characters that didn't get Unite moves to level 10, and they need to pull them down a level. You need to get your Unite move at 9, you need to get your first attack upgrade at 5, and then 7, and then 11, and then 13 for your plus attacks. Until that happens, Zerora is just going to be, you know, kind of a fringe/niche pick for people that really like it, and not a powerful part of the metagame. Trevenant. We got Trevenant buffs, fam. Increased movement speed in general. Some miscellaneous bug fix that wasn't listed. Woodhammer. You deal slightly less damage to yourself, and the stun duration is increased. So Woodhammer is that one where you slam down and then you bring people together. So you get kind of 2 stuns in quick succession. Maybe that's enough. Pain Split as a second one. You now slow your pain splitted link target. Okay. And then your damage gets reflected back to them as you... Okay, so these are 2 strict upgrades here for these 2 attacks, which these were definitely the 2 attacks people weren't picking. The few people that were playing Trevenant with it in its current state were taking the Horn Leech plus the Curse. So Woodhammer and Pain Split both getting buffs. Seems great. Be interested to see if these moves make this character feel playable now. Zarina! They put some power back into this character's kit. I'm hopeful that between Zarina buffs and Lucario's close combat getting a nerf, that we're going to open up a lot of top path diversity inside of the 5-stack composition again. So you now get more lifesteal on Zarina. Previously, you gained 5% lifesteal at 5, 9, and 13, meaning you topped out at 15% lifesteal. You now gain 5% at 5, 7, 9, and 13, which means you're getting 20% lifesteal once you hit that level 13 mark, and you're 5% higher than you previously were starting at level 7. Past that, we've got a bunch of strict upgrades here to Trop Kick and Stomp, which were the 2 less popular Zarina moves. Trop Kick in particular here, with the cooldown reduced to 8.5 seconds, I think has a lot of potential to be the dash of choice. Something to note on this is Trop Kick, when you go through people, it drops the attack on them as well, which means Trop Kick in combination with this increased lifesteal really has potential to give Zarina a lot of sustain inside of fights, which is what a melee all-rounder is really looking for inside of its kit. So this has potential to be very good, I think. Gengar got a special attack increase by 30 at all levels, and its boosted attack got some extra base damage in. So strict upgrade for Gengar fans. Hoopa. Hoopa's getting a variety of nerfs, fam, which is deserved, I think. And I think Hoopa is still going to be a very playable part of the metagame, even with these changes. So Shadow Ball, it's almost exactly the same. So you're going from 102% to 100. You're losing a little bit of base. Your ratio is a little bit worse here, but all in all, Shadow Ball is very similar. I'm honestly surprised that they're nerfing Hyperspace Hole. The cooldown on this is going from 10 seconds to 12 seconds. I'm definitely of the opinion that even before this change, Trick was the better of the 2 moves to be taking at level 4. There's lots of highlight videos here on the channel showcasing that. And with Trick not getting touched, I think that's going to be even more apparent that that's the ideal thing you want to be doing. Hoopa Unbound is a little bit less of a monster. You could say they're bounding him up a little bit. Worse damage overall on basically everything here, which I think is deserved. Hoopa's Unite, easily the most cracked in the game, with the mobility of bringing your whole team in through the clown car, and then lots of damage turning into an attacker. So I think all of these changes are good. There's an Aegislash bug fix here, so the visual didn't match the hitbox. So the Sacred Sword move is still going to interact the same way it did previously. It's just visually it's going to look better. Slow Smoke, they not only decrease the slow it gives you, but they increase the cooldown from 40 to 45 seconds. We're gonna step in poop a little bit less often, which is good. All right, any rate, apparently I've been rambling about these patch notes for 15 minutes. Let me know what you think of these in the comments down below. Let me know which characters you're most excited to get to see played. I'm looking forward to not only trying out the new character that's supposed to be releasing later today, but also checking out a bunch of these. I think if I had to pick two favorites, I think the Ninetales Dash as well as the Blastoise Water Spouts. Those are two characters I really enjoy playing. Looking forward to trying those. Let me know which ones you're going to poke at. I'll be back tomorrow with another Pokemon Unite highlight here on YouTube.